I don't know what the baggage is that's in your basement, that's lifting weights, that's getting stronger. I know my own personal challenge around this has just been the baggage of rejection and experiencing rejection in my own life. And I don't know, I'm probably biased, but I think to be rejected is one of the most painful experiences any human being can have, and it can have such a damaging impact on our lives. And today's hymn has been a hymn that God has given me in my darkest moments and made me aware of the hymn and the story. And the first line of this hymn has just sustained me and enabled me to get rid of unnecessary baggage, and certainly not fully sorted in that area, but it's given me so much power and so much strength. When he was 19, George Matheson, he was engaged to a fiancée to get married. And when he was 19, he got news that his eyesight was failing and that he was actually going to end up going completely blind. And he was completely devastated by that. This is in the 19th century, and so healthcare isn't what it perhaps is today. And devastated by the impact it's going to on his life, on his career. And when he went to his fiancée to be consoled by her response astounded him, because her response was, I can't spend the rest of my life with a blind man. And so she called off the engagement and she abandoned him. She rejected him because of his blindness. And unfortunately, he had really good, caring sisters, and they rallied around him and they taught him and supported him and helped him through his difficulty for many, many years. And he lent on them, and they became really close to him. And then when he was 40, his sister got married. And so she started to get a new partner, and she was moving out, and he was once again alone. And on the night of the wedding of his sister, he wrote a hymn, and this is what he wrote in his journal about that experience. And I'm going to read it to you so you get his exact words. This is in 1882, written by George Matheson. Listen to these words from his journal. My hymn was composed in the manse on the evening of June the 6th, 1882. I was at that time alone. It was the day of my sister's marriage, and the rest of the family were staying overnight in Glasgow. Something had happened to me which caused me the most severe mental suffering, which was the rejection of his fiancée and then his sister moving out. The hymn was the fruit of that suffering. It was the quickest bit of work I ever did in my life. I had the impression of having it dictated to me by some inward voice than of working it out myself. I am quite sure that the whole work was completed in 5 minutes. And equally sure it never received at my hands any correction. I've got no natural gift of rhythm. All the other verses I've written of manufactured articles, but this one came from day spring on high. I've never been able to gain once more the same fervour in verse. Notice he's kind of saying, normally hymn writing's quite hard. I've got to write it and craft it, but this one in 5 minutes, out of my own suffering, this one just came instantly. And the words of this hymn, I think, is a way to recover from rejection. O love that will not let me go, I rest my weary soul in thee. You can just imagine George Matheson experiencing what he calls his severe mental suffering and finding this solace in these words, O love that will not let me go, I rest my weary soul in thee.